Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरुपरम्परम् ॐ गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुविष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै गुरवे नमः ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वार्धे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा कार्पण्यदोषोपहाता स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यश्रेयस्य निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमं त्वं प्रपन्नम् ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मायेधि वेदस्य मा अनिष्टः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासि अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रं सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मम अवतु तद्वक्तारम् अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवा भद्रं पश्येमक्षभिर्यजत्रः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवाग्वं सस्तनूभिः विषेमा देवहुतं यदाहुः स्वस्ति इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न ताक्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति न बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अहं वृक्षस्य वीरिव कीर्तिपृष्ठं गिरिरिव ऊर्ध्वा पवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वविरक्तमास्मि प्रविनग्वं सर्वचासं सुमेधा अमृतोस्ततः इति त्रिशङ्को वेदानुवाचनम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Thank you for the seva, Sanchita.
One check.
Narayan, everyone.
You can order online. Hey,
All right.
extremely sorry.
No worries. Sanchita, so when we start the invocation shlokas, so 3 times Om, right? We start with 3 times Om and then we start with the invocation shlokas. And similarly in the end, after you do the closing shlokas, then 3 times Om.
Okay, I was getting confused. I know the end is like 3 times. At the beginning, I was a little confused whether we do it once or twice.
So in our class format, we do 3 times, but in
Yeah.
Charitra if you notice, people do only 1 time.
One time, yeah.
That's where it gets confusing. But in the regular Gita classes, it's always 3 times.
Okay. So we restart chapter 11 after last 2 classes where we did the quiz. And we had completed up till shloka 7 for chapter 11, right? Now Arjun has reached a stage at this time where he wants to do the Vishwaroop Darshan and he makes that request of Bhagwanji. And Bhagwanji starts to do the Vishwaroop Darshan for him. So what's the first thing he does is he says, see everything in shloka 5. He shows him all the gross forms that he has, the stuff that he can see with the charam chakshu, right? So basically he's showing him forms which are of various colors, of various shapes, of different kinds, things that he can see with the charam chakshu, with the physical eyes. Then he starts to talk of some sublimities, which are things you can't see with eyes, but you can perceive using your man, using your intellect, you can understand. So it goes to that higher level of perception. So that's Gyan Chakshu. Gyan Chakshu, the ones that you can understand and perceive through your man ki aankhein jine kehte hain, right? So it's called Gyan Chakshu. So he takes them to that form. And then he refers to him as the Gudakesh. Gudakesh meaning one who has conquered over sleep. Not just physical sleep, which means you have control over your senses, but also your sleep of delusion, which is that now you understand what is real, what is unreal. One who has conquered over one who is now not ensnared by the forms and colors and names. He's able to go past the forms and names and is able to perceive the oneness behind everything, right? And then he tells him, now look at me and see everything you want to see. Okay? Everything that moves, movable, everything that does not move. So it is not that God is, so what is he trying to say here? That I'm not just there in what is conscious, but I'm also there in what is not conscious, immovable as well, right? And he tells him, interesting thing here is that he's saying that everything that seems contradictory in this world, Chetan, non-Chetan, para prakriti, apara prakriti, movable, immovable, all those things that seem very contradictory, they all emanate from him. The good, the bad, all the dualities that we perceive in the world, everything comes from him only. It isn't as if like only the good belongs to him. What we perceive as bad also belongs to him, right? Now the interesting thing is that Arjun is now trying to see, right? So Bhagwanji is elevating the consciousness and he is beginning to show him starting from gross to subtler and subtler and subtler forms of him so that he can start to perceive. Now he's reached a stage where he cannot see things anymore, right? He's trying very hard, right? Bhagwanji is saying, see, dekho, pashya, look at me, right? And now Arjun is like, he's aankhein faad faad ke bhi dekh raha hai, he's not able to see. Kahan hai, kahan hai, kahan hai? What are you trying to show me? And now in the next shloka, he is now going to say, okay, now you cannot see me with these senses any longer. You've already reached the pinnacle of whatever you can see by your own effort, right? Like, jaise hum bolte hain na, we can only go up till Agya Chakra. After that, going from Agya Chakra to Sahasrar Chakra is not our effort. Our effort is only till Agya Chakra. After that, his grace comes that takes our consciousness, elevates our consciousness from Agya to Sahasrar Chakra. So now he will give him Divya Chakshu. Without that grace, without the Divya Chakshu that comes from his grace, we will not be able to go beyond to really perceive him in his Vishwaroop Darshan. We'll always be limited. The only being that is unlimited is him, and only he can elevate us to be able to perceive the limitlessness that is him. Yeah? Okay. So now we'll start with Shloka 8. Vijay, we'll do the reading together.
Sure.
You can start with the connection.
Connection of 7. Now the Lord warns Arjuna that these primal entities cannot be perceived through the gross sense organs of perception and says,
Na tu mam shakya se drashtum.
Na tu mam sakshya de drashtram. Se drashtram.
Na tu mam shakya se drashtum.
Na tu mam shakya se drashtum.
Anenaiva swachakshusha.
Anenaiva swachakshusha.
Divyam dadami te chakshuhu.
Divyam dadami te chakshu.
Pashyame yogamaishwaram.
Pakshyame yogam aishwaram.
Go ahead and read.
Your eyes would not be able to behold me. Therefore, I would provide you divine sight. Now, behold my supreme yoga sublimities. Diversity in unity through divine sight. The Lord says that the range of vision of physical eyes is limited to the perception of physical appearance only. But it is divine sight only that has the capability of perceiving diversity of phenomena in the unity of self. In other words, this is the capability of perceiving harmony of appearance in supreme reality. It is divine sight with which Lord now endows Arjuna.
So, two things, right? So, one is it is becoming clear that for us to experience Bhagwanji, we have to move beyond our senses. We cannot rely on our senses to be able to see and experience him. That is one. So if we are looking for proof and validation, but using our sansaric faculties, you'll only get that far. And what this shloka also highlights is the Lord is not transforming. It is Arjun's perception that is being changed. It is Arjun who's getting that divine sight to be able to perceive Bhagwanji. Bhagwanji is there as is. But once the divine sight comes in, that is when you will be able to see it.
Correct. Which is why we, from day one, the concept has been mano phir jano. Have faith that what Gita is telling us is actually true, and understand that if our experiential knowledge says something which is not in line with the principles we read, then what is generally our tendency, especially all of us, we are all scientists, right? We are all scientific people. We go by the scientific method. So in the scientific method, we are taught to only go with the results we see in an experiment. And so there is a very high value that is placed on the scientific method, which means pehle dekho, experiment karo, results jo aayega, aap usko mano, right? Now, that scientific method then gets applied everywhere without understanding where it should be applied and where it should not be applied. For example, in our education system, we all do mano fir jano. We accept that somebody else who is, first of all, we accept that this education system is good for me and there is a reason why I'm being taught 1, 2, 3, right? We will eventually, if we go through this process, at some stage, I will reach a point where I will be able to actually understand the integrals and derivatives, right? But without having my basics there, if I ask questions for integration and derivatives, I will never understand the integrals. For that, I need to develop my basics. So first of all, mano phir jano, I trust the process, right? And that is one part of mano phir jano. Second is when somebody teaches you in theory that the world is mostly empty space, even though it feels solidified, somebody else has perceived it, seen it, done something, you trust that knowledge that comes to you. And then you go around doing the hard work to then convert it into experiential knowledge, right? You don't start out by stating flat that I don't believe this, right? So mano phir jano is actually integral to our process of learning. And that same mano phir jano is the process of learning the principles of Gita too. Accept it. Now you will tend to see when you start to actually put it into practice that you're not able to get the results that you think. And that shouldn't put a question. We should not cavil. We should not doubt the knowledge that is being given to us by Lord. Instead, ask ourselves, what did I not implement correctly? What went wrong in my experiment? What can I improve again? What conditions were not perfect for my experiment to yield the result? That is the process with which we approach Gita, and are constantly recalibrating our actions, behaviors, thoughts, so that we get aligned with these principles and actually convert this intellectual knowledge right now into experiential knowledge. Yeah.
And that's also why we keep focusing on Antakaran ki Shuddhi. because that is the only way for our perception to become subtle enough
Correct.
and subtle enough for us to see Bhagwanji.
Mm.
That work is on ourselves and our perception. And right now, our perception is very much clouded by Rag Dvesh, very much clouded by likes and dislikes, very much clouded by pleasure and pain, very much clouded by ego. What is in it for me?
Kakuli, will you read with us?
At this stage, Sanjaya says to Dhritarashtra,
Sanjay Uvacha
Sanjay Uvacha,
Eva Muktva Tato Rajan
Eva Muktva Tato Rajan,
Mahayogeshwaro Harihi
Mahayogeshwaro Harihi,
Darshayamasa Parthaya
Darshayamasa Parthaya,
Paramam Rupam Aishwaram.
Paramam Rupam Maishwaram.
Let's read.
Sanjay says, O King, Hari, the Lord of all yogas, Sri Krishna, having spoken thus, exhibited to Partha Arjuna his supreme divine form. Sanjaya's capability to perceive the divine form, as has been explained in Shloka 2 of the chapter 1, the name Sanjaya symbolizes a level of discernment far above the level of the lower intellect, which is generally involved in the gross appearances of the phenomenal world. These appearances are the products of the following three abstract elements. Number one, causation. It is a well known principle that nothing new is ever brought into being. What appears to be new is, in fact, the result of some transformation of already existing elements brought about by natural causes or induced by human effort. The self is manifest in all forms, which keep changing in appearance due to the operation of Maya.
So,
Number
why are we talking? Why suddenly, like right at this point of time, all the conversation has been with Arjun, between Arjun and Shri Krishna, right? And suddenly at this stage, you are reminded that, oh, they are not the only two people who are discussing, speaking, or listening to
In
Gita.
fact, we are listening to Gita from Sanjay. We're not listening to Arjun and Bhagwanji. It's a narration between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra.
Correct.
So now
And
we've
it's
got back into that first level conversation, which is we are listening to the storyteller.
So there are other people involved in the process, right? So it is not just Arjun who received the Gita ka message. Sanjay, who was seeing it with his Divya Chakshu, was a recipient of Gita too, at the same time as Arjun was. And who else? Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was listening to Gita being spoken by Sanjay. So Sanjay was narrating the whole thing to Dhritarashtra. So it's not just Arjun, but also Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. Now, what was the impact of listening to Gita to Arjun? Arjun elevated his consciousness and realized the truth. Right? 700th shloka, he says what? In the end, he says, now I remember. Now I remember what is my true self. But Dhritarashtra didn't change. Sanjay's consciousness was already highly elevated, that he already had Gyan Chakshu given to him by Veda Vyas. He was a very highly elevated soul. But after the Mahabharata got over and he had received the Gita from Bhagwanji, he also left the whole Rajpat and he went away to say, boss, I have sullied myself. I have made myself unclean by being in the Rajpat and all the work that I've been doing. Now I need to cleanse myself to prepare myself to merge with God as well. So he left and he prepared and he did the whole work of cleansing himself over several years. Dhritarashtra, however, did not change at all. Right? He remained the person that he was despite having listened to the same Gita. There's a very important lesson here for us. What, like, why did Arjun elevate his consciousness but Dhritarashtra didn't? Anyone? It just listening to Gita. Every day we sit and listen to Gita. Every day we do puja part. Will that change us? The action, just the plain, pure action, without applying ourselves, without having the right intent, will never take us to the right goal. And that is why we would have seen a lot of people who will be super religious, doing all religious activities, doing all the right things. And yet, instead of going upwards, their consciousness may actually be downward spiraling.
So,
Because in the other aspects of their life, वो कर्म कांड बन जाता है उनके लिए, right? And Gita is extremely against the idea of karma kand. They are always talking about you do those things, but with a certain intention, setting the intention, understanding what you are doing, why you are doing it, what result is expected out of it, is an extremely important part of learning, implementing, and listening to Gita.
so just to add what Tuvina is saying, right? Intent is very important, but the second part after intent is called Sanjay Chetna. Sanjay Chetna basically means the ability to discern between what is divine and what is worldly. And you can only
But
use
what is divine and what?
worldly.
Okay.
It's what is sansaric and what is divine. So Sanjay Chetna is what we need to evoke to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, the real from the unreal. And that is what is called Sanjay Chetna. And that is why Sanjay is the person who is telling us this, narrating this particular poem.
Correct.
In addition, to take this to a different meter, the reason why Sanjay is the one now narrating Bhagwanji's description is because Arjun's description is something we will not relate to because we do not have the divine sight yet. So Bhagwanji in the last shlok gave Arjun divine sight. Correct? Now, whatever he will see and experience from that divine sight, he cannot bring back into worldly form. It's an experience. So Sanjay now relates it to us in a way that we will understand it. He will communicate what that experience was in a sansaric way for us to comprehend. But don't mistaken this as the necessary true form.
Yeah, there is obviously a lot lost in translation, right? Another important thing, like Abhinav said, it starts with intent, right? But intent is not enough. Intent to hum sabka hi hota hai na. Intent is always there. Yes, Kavita.
Tuhina, this Sanjay Chetna is the intellect Vivashayatmika Buddhi.
No. So let's go to chapter 1, shloka 2. The whole shloka is about the definition of Sanjay Chetna. So if you go to chapter 1, shloka 2.
Let's go back to that. Let's open that up.
In the old book, it's page 3, but I'm not sure about the new book. So Kavita, you can read this shloka for us.
This Shloka 2,
Ah.
chapter 1, Shloka 2.
Let me just read the Sanskrit and then you read the meaning, okay, for everyone's benefit here. Sanjay Uvacha Drashtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Sanjaya said, King Duryodhana, on seeing the Pandava army in battle formation, went to Dronacharya and said, Sanjaya. Sanjaya is derived from the word Jaya, the Mahabharata, the 18 Puranas, the Valmiki Ramayana, and all the other scriptures recorded by seers are called Jaya. The constant study and pursuit of the scriptures help the mind to free itself from the fetters of worldliness and to manifest man's innate divinity.
This line,
Sanjaya,
you can underline. The constant study and pursuit of these scriptures helps the mind to free itself from the fetters of worldliness and to manifest mind's innate divinity. This line symbolizes Sanjay Chaitanya, as will.
No. Jai, the concept of, so there are three different words, okay? Small differences. Jai, Vijay, and Sanjay. Okay. Jai is what has been described here. These Purans, the Mahabharata, the Valmiki Ramayana, they are called Jai. Why are they called Jai? The real meaning of Jai is having complete control over ourselves. Vijay, like Jai, is victory over ourselves. Victory over ourselves, our internal self, such that the mind is our slave and not the other way around. Today, when we are being driven by likes and dislikes, we've not done jai of ourselves. We have zero victory over ourselves. Our mind has made us, mind is our master, we are its slave, and it should be the other way around. When it becomes the other way around, that we are controlling the mind, is called jai. And because all these scriptures help us to have that, that's what's saying, right? It helps the mind to free itself of fetters of worldliness and manifest our innate divinity. That's why they are also called Jai. Because they lead to Jai. They directly, the meaning, the reading of them directly leads to the Jai. That's why they are called Jai. Vijay is winning over the victory over the external world. Jai, internal victory. External victory is Vijay. Vijay comes automatically once you have had Jai. Okay. And now is next the word is Sanjay. Sanjay is that liberated mind, the one that has read through all the scriptures, and that mind has become liberated. It has become extremely virtuous. That buddhi, that mind, that cleansed out buddhi and mind becomes Sanjay. That cleansed mind, not the buddhi. It's not the Nishchayatmika buddhi. It is that mind that has become cleansed and is in control of Nishchayatmika buddhi, and hence such a mind holds on to the reins of the senses, the horses. That mind, that consciousness is Sanjay Chetna.
thank you.
You finish reading that paragraph.
Okay. Sanjaya symbolizes such a liberated yet deeply virtuous mind. In the Mahabharata, Sanjay is shown as a charioteer. There is an important shloka in the Kathopanishad in which the self is compared to the master of the chariot, the body to the chariot, and the intellect to the chariot. The intellect, which emerges from the primal nature, is the controller of all the other elements within it. It is the intellect alone which, though being insentient, has the capability to reflect perfectly the supreme sentient being. Just like the mirror that reflects the sun's brilliance more than any other surface. Maharishi Vedavyas had bestowed on Sanjaya the power of spiritual insight. Thus, Sanjaya, as a charioteer, exemplifies or represents a discerning intellect.
Sorry,
Which
I was really wrong. It is that Nishchayatmika buddhi.
It's exactly what you said.
Yeah, it is exactly what you said, right? So
Very-
Nishchayatmika buddhi, but one that has been cleansed by a lot of arduous hard work. Right? So there is
Thank
a
you.
predominance of satogun in such an intellect. Good one, good reminder and good revision.
Thank you. When you were saying the ability to discern, then I thought maybe this is the buddhi.
Yeah.
You were saying no, discern between what is right and wrong. That's why I was checking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kavita.
Great connect. Slowly.
Number 2, time. As mentioned in Shloka 30 of chapter 10, time is also a manifestation of the self. But the self being one indivisible entity, it does not really admit of the three divisions, past, present, and future, which are associated with time. These divisions are based on the occurrence of days and nights, which is due to the operation of Maya, or in other words, due to the attempt of the limited self to view eternity. Space. Everything that is perceived is not but space. Science also postulates that everything is supposed to be made up of atoms, which are infinitesimally small. Each atom is made up of energy points separated by space, compared to which the energy points occupy negligible space. Thus, the most solid looking material is ultimately nothing but space, though by a trick of Maya it appears to be tangible. The ability to cognize the divine form comes from rising above these three tricks of Maya, namely causation, time, and space. This is the reason why a reference has been made to Sanjaya, symbolizing the higher discerning intellect at this stage when a description of the divine form is to commence.
So causation, let's look at causation. This world is, everything that happens in this world has a cause before it. So that's why it's called the Karya Karan Jagat. There is a cause and there is an effect for everything, right? Now, if we go back to our Srishti Chakra, right? In that, we have the 23 elements, and above that sits, separate to it, sits the Atma, the Para and the Apara Prakriti, right? So, Para Prakriti is Bhagwanji, the Atma, the real self. And uske niche, everything falls through, and there is a, you see that it is a hierarchy of sorts, right? And that hierarchy is because of the Karya Karan Jagat. So if we look at that hierarchy, you will see, first of all, there is Para Prakriti. Now that Para Prakriti gives rise to the three gunas. From the three gunas emerge the intellect, the mind, the chitta, and the ego. From ego arises the sukshma forms, the tanmatras, and from that comes the 5 elements, the gross forms, right? And from the mind comes the senses of perception and the senses of action. 5 senses of actions, 5 senses of perception, and then comes the 5 senses, the 5 tanmatras and the 5 gross elements. Even in that, there is a hierarchy. Sabse niche hai there is earth. Earth kisse aayi? Water. Water ka karan kya hai? The causation of water is fire. Fire ka karan kya hai? Space, air. And uska karan hai, it's progressively becomes sukshman, subtler and subtler and subtler, and they are all in a hierarchy of what causes what. Everything that you see in this world has a cause behind it. It is not anadi. It has a cause beyond that. Every result that we see, however sukshma it may be or however gross it may be, it will have a cause behind it. But there is only one thing that does not have a cause behind it, and that is Bhagwanji. There is no karan for him. That's why he's called Anadi. Sorry.
So to bring this to the me story, right, as Tuvina always says, is every VVGP that we experience, right? Every circumstance, every person, object that we experience, VVGP, there is a reason behind it. There is a causation behind it, because of which we are experiencing it. And our main objective of experiencing any VVGP is to let go of our ego, dissolution of our ego. And when we are not operating from there, and everything else is us getting tricked by Maya, or us getting involved in the Maya Jala. That is what the shloka is trying to highlight.
Correct. And great comeback to our me story, which also means कि जो भी हम experience कर रहे हैं life में, everything, every relationship we experience, every circumstance, every situation, every result is because of something we have done in the past. It is because of our own actions. It is because of our own thoughts. It is because of our own feelings. We have created it. So what is the cause of every single thing? It is we. We meaning our Atma. Just like Para Prakriti, Bhagwan Ji is the ultimate causation for everything in this world. Hamara, now you make it micro, Hamara world, my own little world that I see and experience constantly around me, my Atma is the causation of it all. I am the cause of it all. So the moment you really get it, there would be no longer any concept of blaming. आप किसी को blame कर ही नहीं सकते किसी भी चीज के लिए. You cannot say कि मेरे को गुस्सा आया because so such and such person spoke to me like this or did that. Okay, you cannot blame your boss, your spouse, your friends, your family for any experience that you have today. Right? We have created our circumstances. Recognize that power that we have, and now let's utilize it in a way that
For its real
purpose. The willpower that we have. When our Atma gets shrouded by our ego, by the Maya. So Maya has two activities. It has two major powers. It has a veiling power and it has a power of creating confusion. Okay, veiling power that you do not see what is behind. You only see some सामने से पर्दा कर देती है. Okay, आवरण, पर्दा, veiling, आवरण करती है, right? So it hides the reality behind. That is one power. And the second power of Maya is that it makes you see something completely. It's deluding power, veiling power and deluding power. It shows you something completely different from what it is there. Like when the blades of fan are running, you think it is a solid plate that is there, whereas it is not a real solid plate, right? So these are the two major powers. Veiling, it will hide away the truth. Second, it will transmute and show you something completely different from what it really is. Yes, Vijay.
Yeah, just wanted to correlate one with one example because we are the cause for everything, right? Just wanted to correlate with one situation that I've gone through. There is, I don't know how many of you have visited a tabletop restaurant of Tibetan nature. So it is a very nice way of cutting and displaying all the vegetables and stuff. You go collect all the vegetables, whatever you want, and there are straws of different colors that will be there. You'll have to put it, and finally, whatever the outcome is, it is all on you. You never. So my boss once, like whenever we visited, somebody or other was telling like, okay, you are going to one restaurant, there is a Thai restaurant or Indian restaurant and so on. So that could be different, this could be different and so on. So the boss took it to a restaurant wherein after all the preparation on the tabletop, whatever color of straws that you put in, whatever vegetables that you put in, based on that only your outcome is. You are the decision maker. Nobody complained anything about that restaurant, especially. So I was just like able to correlate that particular point. We are the reason. So if we are the one who's making, if someone else does it, if that is the mindset that we have, we always have something to complain about. Wherein in this restaurant, everybody said it's all great. Nobody complained because they did it everything by themselves. It'll fall back on them, right? So everyone told that way. So it was just the small thing that I could remember back. Thank you.
That was a fantastic example, Vijay. Fantastic example. Thank you.
So if whatever bad is also happening to me, is it because I deserve it because of my actions in the past?
No, so deserve is a very deserve is not the right word to use here.
Yeah.
Whatever negative, not bad, but whatever seemingly negative experience that is happening for you is also for your uddhar. It is also for your benefit. It
But
is
it is because of my action only.
it is
Because of-
your prarabdha.
Yeah, prarabdha is your action,
Yeah,
the result.
your past,
right?
the result of your past actions. That is why you're experiencing.
Prarabdha, not necessarily it's immediate. It could be from previous births level also.
Yeah.
Bhagyashree.
Sanchit prarabdha, जिसको हम कहते हैं. The one that has accrued to us for this lifetime from our previous births.
And so yesterday we were having a good conversation at home about why we don't remember our past and past lives. And one of the reasons is probably this, that if we remember all the negative things that we've done and the consequences we have to face, we'll probably live our entire life in fear of what we have to experience and face. It's much easier for us to be in a space where if something unfavorable happens, you're able to rise above and say, oh, this is my prarabdha. I'm feeling all these emotions and vasanas. My job is to rise above it. All this is Maya. All this is not real. I need to focus on what is real.
And being in Gita class and now we are at chapter 11, I think we all have to start changing our vocabulary. There is nothing bad that happens. We have to stop saying that something bad has happened, something unfavorable has happened completely. At this stage, we should all be able to apply ourselves and start to see कि blessing कहाँ है इसमें, क्यों हो रहा है ये मेरे साथ. Either it is a blessing or it is a lesson, or it is either way, whatever is happening is creating end of the day, no, everything is going to happen to show you something in life. It will happen. So chapter 1, when Arjun was going on and on and on about his prowess, and he was going on and he said Bhagwan ji ko ki show me कि कौन कौन आया है मुझसे लड़ने के लिए, right? Show me who has come to battle with me. Bhagwan ji goes and he shows, he creates a VVGP. He goes and puts the chariot in front of Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama. He does that specifically, and what did that do? It created a massive meltdown in Arjun. Massive meltdown where he's no longer able to hold Gandhi either. The Gandhi falls from his hand. From a situation of where like, show me who all have come to fight with me, he reaches a point where like, I cannot fight. My legs are not even making me stand. He reaches that stage of complete, utter chaos, right? So that situation was created and he experienced those extraordinarily heavily negative emotions where he couldn't even keep up with himself because Bhagwanji wanted him to see his delusion. He wanted him to ask certain questions. He wanted him to go on the path of self-uddhar. So, agar koi situation आई जिसमें आप गुस्सा हो गए, suppose, okay, something happened, तो Hina Singh gets upset and gets angry. Why did that situation happen? Because I need to work on my anger, and now it is for me to, it is up to me. या तो मैं anger होकर okay, and then I blame somebody, walk away from that situation, or I ask myself what caused that, what was the trigger. And that trigger will show me what's the vasana inside of me that I need to work on today. Okay. Now, here's a visualization that I see that helps me understand or make sense of the world, right? Whatever is in front of me, it's a very big and a very beautiful picture. That is the reality out there. Okay. But I don't see it. It's pura dhundla. Pura dhundla dhundla. It's blurry, completely blurry. Okay, I don't know what is the real picture. I have vasanas inside of me, right? I have my own vasanas. Those vasanas are the receptors. Okay, those receptors create a certain perception. So only my receptors, they go and log on to that screen which is showing me the picture, and only those things jump out at me. Only those things are things that I perceive or I become clear about, or what I see would jump out at me and what I will take away from that picture. Abhinav will see the same picture. He will have different vasanas. So the parts of the picture that will light up for him, that he will see clearly, are only those that are related to his vasana. So his perception of the same screen, same picture will be different from my screen, the way I perceive that picture, what I take away from it. Similarly, Kavita will take away something completely different depending on her vasanas, and Vijay and Kakli. All of us will see the same picture, and our vasanas will light up different things. The same word being spoken, the same sentence being spoken will be perceived by all of us slightly differently based on our vasanas. None of us are ever seeing the reality. We are only seeing, taking, connecting to things that are related to our vasanas. And now either we can be led by those vasanas and continue our unconscious journey so that our actions will depend on our vasanas and not our willpower, or we can invoke the willpower. The willpower is our connection to Atma.
Make a perception. Sorry.
And using that willpower, we say, oh, now I am seeing this situation in this manner, which means these are my vasanas, and this is my sanskar, my predisposition, my habits that are making me say, or that are making me like or dislike something. My rag dvesha are coming up according to my sanskars. I will use my willpower to say, I will not act according to these habits. I will not act as per these sanskars. Instead, I will use this to understand the vasanas that I need to work on. And I will then act according to the principles instead given by the Bhagwanji, by Gita, not according to my sanskars. And with that, now I have increased my sense of perception. I have strengthened my Nishchayatmika Buddhi. I have now created a new neural pathway in my brain. Habits are nothing but the neural pathways that get created, which then create the subconscious ways of behavior, habits that instantly come to us without invoking the conscious mind. Right? So we start creating new neural pathways in our mind, and they start to create new ways of being. Yeah, Kaku.
Just wanted to check with you, is it in one of the last chapters in Gita where we read that though God is there, Bhagwanji is there with us for many and many lives, but when we take birth, it is His grace that, disconnects our past memories of our past lives so that it is easier to lead this life. Because as we just spoke about a little while back, if we have memories of past lives and actions and who the relationships were, like, it will create an havoc. Is it? I read it's in Gita or somewhere else I read it.
You read this in Many Lives, Many Masters.
Maybe that, yeah.
That's where this thought comes from.
It's not written explicitly in Gita, but Vyakhya, right? Gita is a condensed version. It's Vedant, right? So you don't have everything. That's why it is a Guru Gamya Granth. You need somebody to explain it to us. Yeah.
I have one more question. Can I just ask this? It's like having, being ingrained in Gita class or Ramcharitmanas, and also, the various Swamiji's groups I am in now. And so it's a different world, it's a different journey. And then on a Saturday evening, you get into meeting a group of people. I mean, they have always been your friends. And, sometimes you have to like pretend that you are enjoying, because it will otherwise hurt. You can't always show, I'm holier than thou. I've become very spiritual, because then your spiritual ego comes in. How do you handle that, Tuhina? Like, you really do not want to sit and chat so much, but then that's samsara, and you have to, those are some of the duties you have towards your family, you have towards your friends, and you just can't always say I'm not available. And you have to, and they are good conversations, they are nice conversations, but they are not conversations about God. They may be conversations about politics, about so I just wanted to know, it's like, how do you handle at that time? How do you ensure that you are still connected with Him?
So the yardstick for you to measure your involvement in sansar is, when you leave that situation, is it still playing on your mind or not?
And the guna that you are in.
Right? And the guna that you're in. People may have all sorts of conversations, strong opinions, arguments, negative things to say. As long if you can be in that situation and still be a lotus, then you are still in Satagun. You're still being Bhagwanji. The kitchen around you, and if you can still just maintain your divinity, it doesn't matter how much mud is flowing around you. You're still a lotus, right? So, and it is we are in sansar to look for Bhagwanji. Like that's what they say. That's the greatest open secret. That we are caught in the maya of the world, but he's actually there everywhere if you look for him, right? And it is okay for us to engage in sansar. It is not okay for us to be attached to it. We cannot give up sansar, right? But if you are constantly finding yourself in a situation where you spend some time with people and you come back and you feel irritated and you feel negative, and that negativity has stayed with you, then those people are probably, you're not ready for them. Your divinity is not strong enough for you to engage with them, to see divinity there. So you have to step away till you become stronger in your sadhana, so that you can go back in sansar without feeling rag dvesh, without feeling pulled, without feeling pressured, without feeling attached, without feeling hurt. That's the yardstick you should also always use in a social interaction. But nowhere does it say you don't have a social interaction. And you don't have to, yes, if a family has been invited for a family dinner, by all means go and play the role, but don't get attached to anything in that conversation.
So I think interesting to go back to see how you are perceiving it, right? You're saying ki the conversations are happening, but they're not conversations about God. Kyun nahi? Why are they not about God? Now we are on chapter 11. Every step of the way, Bhagwan ji kya bol rahe hain? Vishwaroop darshan dekh rahe hain hum log abhi. Vishwaroop darshan is him in every kan, in every thought, in every conversation. There is Bhagwan ji. Are we able to see it or not is on us. The conversation is about Bhagwan ji if you can perceive it about Bhagwan ji, or you are being deluded by the two powers of Maya. It is not about the conversation. It is not about the people. It is about us. If we make our intellect subtle enough, if we strengthen our sadhana enough, you will find every conversation about only Bhagwan ji. But that doesn't mean कि आप खाली वहाँ बैठ के bhajan, the concept of bhajan is not actually sitting down and reading a bhajan and doing a bhajan with manjira and tabla, right? That is not bhajan. Bhajan is when you are talking to people, when you are doing your work, how you're doing it.
The bhav.
And the bhav with which you're doing it, how you're interacting with the people around you, how you're talking to them, how you're reacting, how you're handling situations. That is Bhagwan ji ka real bhajan. Not sitting in a mandir and singing a particular song with manjira, right? That is not bhajan.
So
That
like
is
you
not
can
real
be
bhajan.
invited for like a child's birthday party. Now you can go to that birthday party, judge the food, and talk, oh, this food is really good, this is not that good. Oh,
That food wasn't good.
They didn't cater to this, and oh, my kid did not get anything to eat. Finish that party and come back. But the main purpose of that party was to bless that baby. Did you take that 30 seconds to invoke a prayer by touching that person's head, saying, I bless you, I hope you have a good life, I hope you have a great happiness, walk in this divine light and reach him. We don't do that. So that's where we lose our essence. We lose our bhav. And then we blame sansar. कि वो पार्टी में बुलाते हैं, वो खंदा खाना दिया तो मेरा मूड खराब.
But Kakuli, should the conversation be always about God? I mean, we are given this life, so shouldn't we? I mean, I can be spiritual and I can also do other things, right? It cannot be just one thing that okay, I have to always talk about God and.
No, you can talk about God all the time. In fact, you're supposed to talk only about God all the time, Bhagyashri. Except that talking about God does not mean that you're talking about Brahma or Vishnu or Shankar. Talking about God is talking about Bhagyashri and her life and helping her. Talking about God means talking about Kakuli and her experience of life and helping her through it.
Yeah,
because we are all gods, right?
If you are talking about job, then you're talking about doing seva for Bhagwanji so that other people will benefit from the effort you're doing today. Everything is eventually related to him.
Talking about God
But
means
that exists at your bhav level. You don't need to go into a corporate meeting and say these words. It's just the bhav with which you approach the task.
And then you will change your words to suit the context. And you will talk in the language that is suitable to that space. And your actions will be suitable to the context in which you are in. You don't go to a board meeting and start talking about Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. You will do the job that you're supposed to do,
The role.
and you will play the role that Bhagwanji has given to you in the best possible manner with full integrity. That is doing Bhagwanji ka bhajan, and that is talking about Bhagwanji through your actions. Being connected to Bhagwanji, not forgetting that this role has been given to you by Bhagwanji, that the resources have been given to you for the performance of this role by Bhagwanji, and the only reason that role and those resources have been given to you are for your own uddhar, which basically means what? Leaving all negativities out inside of us. सिर्फ एक काम करना है हर सिचुएशन में. नेगेटिव थॉट्स आएंगे, उनको छोड़ते चल. Negative thoughts आएंगे ही आएंगे in some capacity or the other, based on our vasanas. Sadness, anger, upset, anxiety, fear of not being enough, fear of not being able to complete the task that has been given to me at hand, fear of whether I have the resources, fear of rejection, fear of non-acceptance. कुछ ना कुछ in some capacity will come up, or upset or anger or feeling of like, oh, उसने ये नहीं किया, उसने ये नहीं किया, blaming, judgment. What kind of a person is this? What did he say? Why did he say this? These are all constant states of being that will come to us. In negativities को आपको constantly recognize करना है और छोड़ते जाना है, छोड़ते जाना है, छोड़ते जाना है. That is the reason why we are in that specific situation, and why I am in a certain role with a certain set of resources. And in that moment, when I'm doing this, recognize, being present, being aware of what I'm feeling, thinking, and doing, and then leaving the negativities behind, then I'm doing Bhagwanji ka kaam. I'm only talking about Bhagwanji, and I'm only and only connected to Bhagwanji in that situation. The actual specifics of that situation does not matter. You could be at home, you could be in a drawing room sitting and talking to your friends, you could be attending a party, you could be in a club, you could be watching a movie, you could be in a boardroom, you could be doing whatever. The specific situations don't matter. Do you get this? This is very important, because this question will come up again and again, where we get confused about what it means to do Bhagwanji ka bhajan, what it means to be in sato, in like satsang, and what it means to be in sansar. This is very, very important point. Otherwise, you will not be able to apply the Gita principles in life, because then you will relegate them to a very small part of life, which is where you say कि हाँ यहाँ ये सब apply होता है और यही ही apply होगा, बाकी सारी life अलग है, and then you won't be able to reconcile those two words.
Got that.
Good
Yeah.
question in this one, if it's not clear. Okay. So we covered causation. The other two parts are time and space. Okay. So basically, time and space are again things that are part of Maya. Bhagwanji is past the time and past the concept of space. He's omnipresent. He's present in every place at all times. And how was that shown? भगवान जब आप कृष्ण जी की लीला दिखाते हैं, जब भी कृष्ण जी की लीला डिपिक्ट करते हैं, you will see the artist always show Krishna is dancing with every gopi. Okay. And so what does that mean? That he is present for every single person in the form they want him to be present at all points of time. There is no concept of past, present, and future for him. All kals are there at the same time. The concept of time is a trick of Maya. So when he will show his Vishwarup Darshan to Arjun, he will say, see whatever you want to see. You want to see future, you want to see the result of the battle, see it right now, here and now. which means that every single possibility and its result is present here and now in today's moment. All your future selves based on your action are present in this moment here and now. It has already happened. Bhagwan ji tells Krishna, Arjun ki you stand and fight. तुम्हें किस चीज के लिए दुख हो रहा है? ये सारे जो लोग तुम्हारे सामने खड़े हैं, they are already dead. Here and now they are dead. When we are tricked by Maya, we're like, they are not dead. They are standing here in front of me. Right? And Bhagwan ji says, they are already dead. What are you fighting for? What are you crying for? Go and do your duty. Go fight the war that you need to. Because Bhagwan ji is past the tricks of Maya of time and space. And this is what we need to go past to be able to really perceive who he really is, which we cannot do as long as we are bound by our physical body, our senses, and our mind even, our intellect even. You want to take the next one or do you want to take the...
Yeah, take the next one. We have 15 minutes.
Okay, let's do the next one. This is the divine form that he's going to show himself. Again, an answer to the question that Bhagyashree and Kakuli were asking. This world is him. His body is this world. Bhagwan ji ki jo body hai, that is this world in which we are living. Bhagyashree, you will read with us?
Yeah. Sanjaya begins.
Aneka vaktra nayanam.
Aneka vaktra nayanam.
Aneka adbhut darshanam.
Aneka adbhuta darshanam.
Aneka divya bharanam.
Aneka divya bharanam.
Divyaneka Divyaneko
Divyaneko data yudham.
Let's read.
Read the 11.
Okay, read the 11th. Okay. Divyam Alyambaradharam.
Divyam alyambaradharam.
Divyagandha Anulepanam.
Divyagandha anulepanam.
Sarvascharyamayam Devam.
Sarvascharyamayam devam.
Anantam Vishwato Mukham.
Anantam vishwato mukham. Having numerous countenances and eyes, with numerous miraculous visions, with numerous celestial ornaments, and bearing countless uplifted divine weapons, wearing divine garlands and apparel, anointed with divine unguents, the all-wonderful, resplendent, infinite, supreme God, with countenances everywhere, appeared to Arjuna's view. The divine cosmic form. In these two shlokas and in those which are now to follow, some attributes of the divine cosmic form have been described. The description in many respects resembles that of human attributes. But as has been explained in Shloka 7, the superb imaginative and poetical presentation has to be properly understood for a comprehension of the esoteric meanings underlying it.
So
The new
up here, just to fully clear, while Sanjay ji is recounting it in gross form for our understanding, because we're at the gross level, we are to look at it from the subtle meaning behind it. So eyes refer to perception. The many different layers of perception and how to perceive and how he can perceive everything, right? So our job is not to necessarily visualize the millions of eyes and ears and whatever else that is going to be described. It's about understanding the subtlety behind those faculties.
The numerous countenances and eyes denote the omnipresence of the Lord. Further on, the numerous suns and moons denoting his effulgences could be compared to the eyes of the Lord. by his numerous miraculous visions is indicated the fact that his cosmic form is not comparable to anything which is found in the phenomenal world. A detailed description of the Lord's ornaments and weapons is given in chapter 11 of Canto 12 of Srimad Bhagavad. There, the Kaustubh jewel shining on his chest is shown to represent the luminous self in the shape of individualized consciousness. His earrings are symbolic of the Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga. Among the weapons, his mace is the vital energy constituted of the combined power of mind, senses, and the body. His Sudarshan Chakra represents the element of effulgence. The darkness of ignorance is his shield. Time is his bow, and actions constitute his quiver.
By the way, there are a lot of fill in the blank questions here for the quiz.
The divine garland mentioned in Shloka 12 is his Maya. The sweet smelling unguent is the lotus of his navel, which symbolizes the Sattva Guna, composed of righteousness and knowledge.
So I think there's not much to explain. This is exactly what we are talking about. Ki they are the for us to somebody who has experienced or seen Bhagwanji and now he's trying to explain it to us. It is impossible to explain in words, in any way, in through any art form, whether it's music, whether it's like drawing, art, sculpturing, whatever, right? Like, or writing. So they will have to use the similes that we can relate to explain what they experienced. And that is what is going on here. That is why Bhagwanji is made in the form of, in most cases, they will take the form of human being or an animal that we understand that has the special characteristic that was coming out strongly in that experience, right? So us hisab se they will create an animal or a human form for us to be able to see and understand and visualize. And जब वो बनाएंगे sculpture, for example, if the sculpture was created in the form of human being, then they will, because the Bhagwanji is the most beautiful thing, and beauty evokes an attraction. Beauty evokes a feeling of wanting to be in the presence of that beauty all the time. Then that concept of beauty would be created with the concept of beauty that is there in the artist's mind of that particular era, right? So all these things, you have to go past what you see with your charan chakshu, use your gyan chakshu to be able to perceive it. And at some stage, there will be Bhagwanji's grace so that our gyan chakshu gets elevated to divya chakshu. And then when we come back and read the same chapter, our understanding would be very different of what is being explained here, right? But for now, we will try and go past the charan chakshu, at least, and use our gyan chakshu to understand how he is being shown. And you will see that what is being shown is that this world is his body. This world is his body, and all the qualities, actions, behaviors, all the subtle aspects that we see are the subtler things that are supposed to adorn him, or the things he carries, or how we perceive him. Okay? We'll do Shloka 12 also, or do we stop for
12 is small.
Small. Okay, let's do this Shloka 12. Kavita, you'll read with us?
Sanjaya now describes the luminosity of the divine cosmic form.
Divi Surya Sahasrasya
Divi Surya Sahasrasya
Bhavedyug Upaduttitha
Bhavedyuga Paduttita
Yadi Bhasadrashi Sasyat
Yadi Bhashatrusi Sasyat
Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha
Vasastasya Mahatmanaha. If the effulgence of 1,000 suns was to blaze forth all at once, it could hardly compare with the splendor of the Supreme One. The effulgence of the cosmic form. The comparison of the effulgence of 1,000 suns to the splendor of the cosmic form in this shloka is not in the physical terms. It represents that power which give rises to the manifestations of the Lord's sublimity.
Now, whenever we talk about effulgence or prakash or gyan, they are all simultaneous, like they are synonyms of each other. So when they are talking about effulgence, they're talking about the gyan, the prakash. Eyes, whenever they talk about eyes, they will talk about the effulgences. They are like sun and the moon, because they provide light, which basically means gyan, which allows us to see the real versus the unreal. And it is, see, now he's saying that the effulgence of 1,000 suns were to blaze forth, it could hardly compare with the splendor of the Supreme One. Now, in this Anushtan, we've been doing Aditya Hridaya Stotram, right? It is the stuti of the sun. Stuti of the sun, because sun is supposed is the brightest object that we have, the one with the maximum amount of light, effulgence. And so he is, because in our perception, in the world we live in, sun is the most glorious, the most like the what we call like self-lit. You don't need light to see sun. Sun is the one that helps us see everything else in our world, right? So that's why there is constant comparison of Bhagwanji with sun. Because this world mein hamare paas, we don't have any other reference point. This is the highest, this is the pinnacle of the reference point for light for us. So Bhagwanji is compared to sun or Satogun. The gyan that comes from Bhagwanji is compared to Satogun. So what he's saying is that the Satogun in Bhagwanji, he's past Satogun also, right? So that purity of Satogun is so complete. The gyan that comes from is so complete. That's why he's saying that the 1,000 suns cannot compare to the effulgence that is compared to him, because he is Gyan. Sat Chit Anand. Sat Chit Anand. He's Sat. He's the full Gyan. He is Gyan himself. There is no Gyan associated with him, right? That is what is being tried to brought about here.
Should we do one more?
Okay. Shloka 13. Who's not read in today's class?
Sanchita.
Sanchita. Sanchita, you'll take the next one.
Now, Sanjay describes what Arjuna saw in the cosmic form.
Tatraikastham jagat kritsnam
Satrikastham Jagat Krishnam
pravibhaktam anekadha
Pravibhaktam Manekadha
apasyatyaiva devasya
Apashya Deva Devasya
sharire pandavastada.
Shariri Pandavastada. There at that time, Arjuna saw in the body of the god of gods the whole differentiated universe all at one place. The universe in the cosmic form. In this shloka, it is revealed that in the cosmic form of the Lord, the entire differentiated universe reposes all at one place. This is the all-embracing vision of diversity in unity. Just as waves of different sizes and shapes are seen existing together in the waters of the ocean, and there is nothing else in the waves except the water of the ocean. Similarly, the universe in its diverse shapes is seen in the self of the cosmic form. In this shloka, Arjuna has been spoken of as Pandava. Etymologically, the word Panda means capability of discerning clearly the difference between the self and the non-self. By calling Arjuna Pandava, this shloka shows that only such a discernment is capable of seeing diversity in unity.
I think that's
Very self.
very, like, this is what we've been talking about, right? So I think this is all quite self-explanatory by now. So we'll take some, we'll stop here.
Yeah.
We'll take some
Takeaways.
takeaways. Who wants to go first? Yes, Sanchita.
I think you mentioned sometime back that that whatever happens, happens for the best, right? And, in accepting things, that is like progression. I think that really stayed with me. Like, there's no point. I always believe that, sometimes, at a gross level, or, on the face of it, it might look like, things are not working out the way we want things to happen. But I'm sure, whatever happens in life, there is a reason why it happens. So the moment we are able to accept it, I think, at least in my case, I'm in a better frame of mind to deal with such situations. So whether it's, at a personal level or at a work front, the moment you start accepting and stop questioning why it has happened, I think the acceptance is much better, and it helps me deal with situations in a much more positive manner. So I think that is something that I took away today.
Correct. And in certain cases, हमारा right of passage ही वही रास्ता है. अगर आपने भगवान जी से कहा है कि भगवान जी मुझको I want ABC, तो अब आपको रास्ता चलना ही पड़ेगा. The right of passage to that goal is through that रास्ता, which will involve fire, which will involve tap, which will involve certain amount of pain. और फिर उस रास्ते पे आपने पहले मांगा, भगवान जी ने आपको भगवान जी put you on that रास्ता, you start walking that path, and then the associated tap and pain and effort comes in, and then you're like, why is this happening to me? It's like a soul wanting to be born, and now the passage, the rite of passage is being born. You have to come out, right, into this world. There is pain associated with birth. There's a lot of pain associated with birth. You have to go through that pain to be born, and there's no question about like everybody has to do it. Everybody has to go through that pain to be born. So take it like that also. Whenever tap comes, you have to have that. You have to accept it, and accept it gracefully and beautifully, and see the benefit in it.
So should I ask something to God, or should I not ask then? It's okay if whatever He does will be good for me. That should I just believe that, or should I ask for something?
Depends what you're asking.
Yeah. I mean, you have to ask. The most important ask is ki Bhagwan ji, give me the buddhi to be able to come back to you. You have to ask him for him. You have to ask him to accept you as you are and help you in your journey towards him. Desires kabhi khatam nahi hote, Bhagyashree. Desires are created. They are a part of Bhagwan ji. It's part of the design. The question is, do we get lashed onto petty desires ki ये घर मिल जाए, ये कार मिल जाए, ये promotion मिल जाए, ये are we going to step ourselves into those petty desires? या फिर we are going to sansaric desires, or are we going to elevate ourselves to say कि no, I'm not going to enter the shop and ask for like one thing, two thing, three thing. I will instead ask for the shopkeeper himself. फिर तो ये पूरी shop ही मेरी हो गई ना. Do I have that clarity to say that my ultimate welfare, I'll ask not for the small welfare that will come and go. आज मुझे ये मिल गया, वो खत्म हो जाएगा ना. Or should I ask for my ultimate welfare? कि it does not matter क्या है क्या नहीं है. I will be happy in every situation. So you have to ask, but what are you going to ask?
And what you have to face,
Yeah.
destiny as a unfavorable situation, you have to face, as Tuina said. You have to go through the tap. But ask for the patience, ask for the dhriti, I mean the fortitude, ask for the perseverance to be able to go through it, and the love with which to go through it. Ask for these things.
Don't ask for कि भगवान जी ये ना हो
Take this
जाए,
away.
वो ना हो जाए, ये ले जाइए मुझसे.
Because that is
वो
a
मुझे
reflection of
देखना
your
है.
attachment to
Yeah, to a certain
outcomes.
situation, to a certain outcome. Don't ask for that. Those are, I mean, you can ask, but that's a waste of your time and effort. Nishchayatmika buddhi. You're spending the same amount of energy, effort, and everything, and asking for something small. आज भगवान जी आपको ये दे देंगे या नहीं, या आपकी वो situation हटा देंगे. Second one will come. Then what? Then you're constantly asking, अब ये ना हो, अब ये हो, अब ये ना हो, अब ये हो. Spending the same amount of energy and time doing your meditation and creating those asks, no? So you might as well put it for the greatest use, so that your resources are going to create the greatest ROI. The return on the investment of your time and effort and energy. Who wants to share next? Yeah.
When you're saying that remove the negativity from all the situations. I think that is my biggest great takeaway here, because it's like whatever situation is there, like, we know whether you just, as you said, just accept the situation and just remove all the negative, like, whatever emotions arise, if the situation is favorable or unfavorable, just make it balanced. And also, I think that is being in Satoguna, right? If I'm not wrong, like, that this all the emotions are kind of neutral and we are just accepting as it is, then we are in Satoguna, right?
I think one nuance is that when people tend to put it that way, तो लोगों को लगता है कि संभाव means not experiencing emotions. And then the first thought comes is, यार, वो तो बहुत ही boring life है. I'm not experiencing anything, then I'm bored, then am I even living? That is not the concept. Okay. The emotions that are there to help us experience life are there for a very good reason. Right? So you don't stop experiencing emotions. You don't stop being happy. In fact, if you do it right, then you will be extremely happy and constantly in a state of amazement and wonderment. There would be a sense of bliss and happiness that is far past what we generally experience in the sansaric world. So you're not trying to bring everything down to a state where you don't feel anything. That is being dead. Okay, that
So
is not Satchit
so the
Anand.
thing is
Anand
this.
is not experiencing anything. Anand is a state of heightened happiness and sense of wonderment, amazement, and presence. So leaving negativity means कि यार जैसे ही आपके अंदर एक negative feeling उठी, you recognize it and you let it go. Don't ponder over it. Don't give it any more energy. Don't give it words. Don't kill yourself over it. Why did I feel this way? Experience, so see it and let it go. Don't give it any energy. Starve it of energy. Let it go. Don't give it any attention. Give attention to the positive things.
Yeah. And I also have one more question. Is the vasanas you are mentioning, right? Is it the habits? Vasanas are habits.
Sanskars are habits. And habits get formed out of doing something again and again. Vasanas are the dosh that we have inside of us. The word dosh can be anything and everything. Even positive vasanas are dosh. They are called dosh because we have to get rid of all the vasanas, good or bad, to be able to get to him. Anything that is preventing me from merging with him is a dosh. It could be a positive vasana,
So-
negative vasana.
It can also be understood as unfulfilled desires that you have.
That is
get-
also a dosh.
that-
Yes,
that
that's
is also a dosh.
Correct.
So when she gave that example of a blurry picture, you'll only see what your unfulfilled desires want you to see. So it's the same thing, right? Like if you're buying a car and you want an Audi and you go on the road, all you'll start seeing is Audis.
Even though there are all other cars, but the
Right.
ones you notice would be those Audis. Right?
So that's how.
But you don't notice other cars. You wouldn't be able to tell me how many Toyotas or how many Nissans or how many BMWs you saw in the car.
And on your previous point, right, on the negativity, like Tuina said, you will experience it all. But our job is not to act out of it. We act out of compassion. And when you experience it as a seeker, it should only be a red flag that, it's a reflection of my attachment somewhere. What is it I'm attached to? I'm attached to an outcome. I'm attached to my child. I'm attached to my child's future. I'm attached to my looks. What am I attached? Why is this creating anxiety? Am I attached to the future outcome? Let me have more faith. It's all for my uddhar. It's all for my best. All of this is just a reflection of your attachment somewhere. And look at it like that.
Thank you.
Who is next?
Vijay, you can go.
Yeah, go ahead, Kapil. Okay. For me, essentially the part that we have touched upon it is how we perceive, right, and how it is on us whether we are with any kind of company that we are with, or how we are taking things. It is ultimately falling on us, and whatever the situation may be, how our bow is to respond to it, and um, uh, how we are reacting to the situation with the mindset that we are having. So that's a takeaway that I have.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, Kapil.
So same taking away, I mean, just taking what Vijay said forward, and always a me story for me. So for me, I have stopped even thinking why I am facing this situation, because this Gita class, I think, has made me understand that there's a reason and there's a learning from it. And there's a reason that God wants you to go through that journey, because, and He is there in every situation, whether it's good or bad, and the bad is also our perception. And why I'm saying this is, so last week when I went to the Ayurvedic doctor, because now I have to go to my Ayurvedic doctor because my hands swell up. He told me that my autoimmune disease will never be reversed. So I'll never be the same person, which means maybe I can't do my headstand. I can't do many things. I can succumb to that, or I can learn from it. And I've decided I will get up every morning, thank for that day, thank that it's not life threatening, thank that I'm able to spend time with my family. I can look forward to a trip with, my family, my sister, my brother-in-law, everyone around, and understand that God is there. And I firmly believe that if you have, as you said, in one of that Antakaran ki Shuddhi, if you cleanse and you become purer and drop negativity, he just just helps. And that's what Dr. Ajit said, that when you believe in divinity, you never know when the next miracle is round the corner. So so this class is always a takeaway with a linking to me story. And thank you for that, everyone. Yes.
Very nice sharing, Kapil. Thank you. Everyone's shared, Bhagyashree?
Yeah. So how we talked about the causation, that everything has a cause behind it. So we should just stop questioning why and just accept the situation. And that was one thing. And other thing is how it was surprising to see that we cannot see God with our own eyes. We don't know who God is. We are comparing it to 1,000 suns, because we only like Tuhina said, like sun is the only brightest thing which we can think of. Our this body and mind can only think of that. So we are thinking of God as whatever, as in we don't know actual how God looks like and how he is, but whatever is the brightest, or we are like comparing, we are trying to see like what you said, artist, whatever the artist also shows us, the pictures which we have now of gods in our house, those are also made by artists, let's say, from their thoughts, like how they think of how God is. So it's like yeah, kind of. So like a good learning that we have a limited vision, we have everything, whatever we have is like limited, and we can only perceive him, sorry, we can only see him through our thoughts, and maybe compare to the things around us. That's how we'll see him
In the gross form. Lekin when we do enough antakaran ki shuddhi, then our mind and our intellect becomes sukshma and sukshma, subtler and subtler and subtler, until our
Experience.
our intellect will push mind towards a certain thing. We only think about God, only think about God. And then our mind, once it becomes sukshma enough, it's a very strong and a very powerful tool that will help you perceive way beyond all of this. And you will be able to actually convert. Your experiential knowledge will come because of your mind. The job of buddhi is to keep it on one course of action. And then your mind will show you miracles that you would have never experienced before. It will help you perceive things that you could have never thought of. And then when you have gone through that and you try and explain it, you will be at a loss of words. And then you will think, what is the closest simile I can use to express what I saw or felt or thought? And then you will do things that other artists and other people and other poets are trying to do to help explain what they saw or felt. Hai na? Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll do the closing shlokas. Sanchita, you will do the closing as well.
Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukbhag Bhave Om Asito Ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamivavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Om. Om.